This is a Bramble Jam podcast.
Welcome to Girls Gone Hallmark, a Hallmark review podcast. I'm Megan, and I'm a longtime Hallmark fan.
I'm Wendy. I'm a former Hallmark hater.
Today's episode is a listener mailbag episode. Thank you for your emails and your voicemails. You can keep them coming to girlsgonehallmark@gmail.com, or you can leave us a voicemail at 949-329-8090. We will be reading them and listening to them, but the next listener mailbag episode will drop in January. So we want to hear everything. Just know that's when it's coming out.
I would just like to pause here for a second and say thank you to everybody who has written in or called in. Like, you guys really bring it for mailbag, and I love it. It's one of my favorite episodes to do.
I agree. Keep it coming.
Let's do it. 2026. Yay. Okay. If you guys don't know, this is the last episode that we're recording.
It is.
This is it. And then we're going to take a small break for us. You guys will still get content, but for us behind the scenes, we're going to get a small break. It's been a long season.
Really, this has been the hardest season for me that we've ever done.
Tell me why.
I don't know how to figure it out. I truly can't.
We had screeners all season long. We didn't have to wait for them to air. I don't know why this has been so incredibly hard.
But don't you agree?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know what happened this year. I cannot make heads or tails of why this year, work-wise, holiday-wise, it's just been harder. And it's December 19th as we're recording this. I do not feel like I have my act together. As I said the other day, my mom likes to say Christmas is coming whether you're ready or not, and I am not ready.
Yeah, I mean, this is true. I'm in the same boat as you in regards to that kind of stuff, but I'm trying to look back. You know, I know in previous years when we did Countdown to Christmas, we would like cherry pick the movies that we wanted to review, right? This year, because the slate was so much smaller, we were like, look, we can do it all. We're going to do every new movie. We did not do the 3 Cherry Lane movies because they were repeats. But other than that, we did every new movie. We did most series. We did Finding Mr. Christmas. It was just way more than I anticipated.
Yeah, but I don't think we did more episodes this year than we did last year.
I don't know why it was harder.
I can't figure it out, but here's my advice to anybody in the holiday season. One of the best things I do for myself is I create a note in my notes app called Holiday Debrief, and I write down while I'm in the thick of it what worked and what didn't and what I would change. And then I put a reminder in my calendar for whenever works for you. I do it for October 1st to check in on my debrief so I can remember. I'm actually going to bump it up to September 1st this year, just so I can remember what worked, what didn't, what I need to do differently for things to run more smoothly.
Well, I have a suggestion. Okay. I think you need to put in there when Wendy says, hey, let's do every movie. I think it should be like this. That was very hard to do.
You know, we just can't say no. That's the problem.
Well, and you know, we did get some feedback from a person in our Facebook group, and it was basically like, oh, why are you guys... What did it say? Like, why are you doing Ripple? Ripple would have been there outside of the Christmas season. And I'm like, well, we kind of have to review like what is trending right now, right?
Yeah, we want to hit it while people are still watching it.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not trying to overwhelm our listeners with the amount of content that we put out. I just feel like I want to touch it all, though. I want it to be there for them. They don't need to listen to it as it comes out. Like, please, 2 weeks from now, when you're cleaning up your Christmas tree, I hope you'll listen to our review of Single on the 25th, you know?
Exactly.
You don't have to consume it as we put it out, is all I'm trying to say.
It's not going anywhere. No, absolutely.
Yes, it's there.
We hope you don't feel overwhelmed by it. Just churn through it as it suits you.
But we are interested in your thoughts on it. So if you want to email us, am I maybe soliciting for an email that says, hey, you guys don't need to do every single movie. It's okay. Maybe I am. I don't know.
Yeah, that would be nice because when we said we were doing every one, people were like, yay, we're so excited you're doing it, which was fuel to the fire for me.
Yeah, I want to give the people what they want.
We're very well aware how low stakes what we do here is, just in case anybody's curious.
This is true.
Why don't we kick off our discussion with an email from Emily in regards to 12 Dates Till Christmas?
Hi, Megan and Wendy. I really appreciate your reviews and enjoy hearing your thoughts on movies and shows. I had some delays in being able to get to watch 12 Dates Till Christmas, so had enough time to see ratings and was really concerned when I saw it was getting such a low score on IMDb because I really like the actors. Then I got a chance to watch it and loved it. All this to say, I am baffled by the ratings. I was so glad that you all loved it and interviewed Zach and Aaron. Loved hearing the behind-the-scenes stories. Why the IMDb ratings, though? Question mark.
So I dug into the IMDb ratings. Overall, this show has a 5.9 on IMDb, which is incredibly low. However, the episode ratings so far, only the first 4 episodes are rated because as of the recording of this, only the first 4 have come out. The episode ratings are 7.2, 6.8, 7.1. Okay? But you can rate both the episode and the series as a whole on IMDb. What's interesting is 12% of the ratings are a 1 star. That has to be someone taking issue with some piece of this that has absolutely nothing to do with the show itself.
I know where you're headed. Yep, I agree.
So whether it's the inclusion of same-sex storylines, I don't know what it is. I can't speak to it. There are no individual episode reviews. There are series reviews, and most of the written reviews are quite positive. There is a 2-star review that says, "This is so bad, nothing like the book, which I read every year, terribly miscast. The quality of film series has generally gone down. I read there's been change in management. There needs to be more." I think they're talking about Hallmark. "Previous folks knew how to cast actors and create funny mystery series. Now both channels are a sad reflection of what used to be entertaining. This 4-part movie was a waste of money." I mean, they haven't even finished the series at this point. To me, I'm like, you're just wrong. If you love 12 Dates Till Christmas, hop into IMDb and leave a nice review, please.
Yeah, we encourage you on socials, on IMDb, on Hallmark Channel's Facebook page. You know, gosh, that stuff pisses me off so much because these are just people who don't want to see certain things on their Hallmark Channel. And so therefore they leave negative reviews on a project. It just makes me mad because I feel like for years we've been talking about like Hallmark needs to grow and expand. We need to go in a different direction, but just pivot in a more inclusive direction. Give us different storytelling, like represent everybody's lives who live in this world, right? And there are just a ton of people out there who don't want to do that, who are so reluctant to that change. And I'm fearful. I have talked about it to you off mic. I don't know if we've talked about it on mic. I'm fearful we are going to go backwards with Hallmark. And I don't know where that's going to put me in my hater status.
Yeah. I don't know what's to come, but every once in a while my eyes are opened to the level to which people are so stuck in their ways, and it just makes me want to light things on fire. I don't know what to say to that, because when people, when you're rating something based on something that you object to as opposed to the content, it's like, I can't take you seriously.
Right. And you know what is funny is I'm always on Reddit and reading the stuff on Reddit. And oftentimes I'll see, the thing that comes to mind is Three Wisest Men. And people talked a lot about like, oh, was that third movie necessary? And I remember commenting like, yeah, it wasn't for me. And somebody replied and they're like, well, great, you don't need to watch it. And you know what? I'm going to adopt that. You're right. I needed to watch it for this, but people don't need to watch 12 Dates either, but you also don't need to leave bad reviews for it. Mm-hmm. Just keep scrolling.
I've got a hot take and everybody needs to know about it.
I know, exactly. I also saw on Reddit this last week, people were ranking the movies. The series were also included in that. And somebody had 12 Dates like their very bottom, number 25. And I was like, get out of here. I was like, you are so wrong about this, which I gave them my hot take. I told them they were wrong.
Yeah, this would be my number 1 for the year.
Yep.
Well, speaking of hot takes, let's talk about old people. We have a voicemail from Michelle.
Old people? Ooh.
Hey, it's Michelle. In regards to the being 55, 60 years old and started recording this podcast, I did not personally take offense to it, but I do think that there is a niche there to be had that you girls could continue into. As someone who is 55, I don't want to, and this is no shade, no harm meant towards any of the younger podcasters. I don't want to listen to a 25, 30-year-old talk about the Hallmark movie. I want to listen to someone who is closer to my age talking about them. I think it's more relatable because of our life experiences, because of knowing these actors for a longer time. There's something to be said for older podcasters talking about Hallmark movies to a group of people who is largely made up of older viewers. Keep doing it as long as you can, as long as you want to. When it's no longer fun, stop the podcast. But please don't stop because you think I'm a certain age and I can't do this anymore.
The way you teed it up, I thought you were talking about Michelle being old.
No.
That's my first thought. No, that was funny. She's not wrong. She's going back to an episode. I don't even remember when it was this season, but I was like questioning if me personally was still going to continue doing this podcast, reviewing these movies as like in my 60s, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was like honestly a throwaway comment, but like we've gotten so much feedback on it.
Can't get rid of us now.
I hear what Michelle's saying. Like, I appreciate that she wants to hear a point of view from somebody who has had a lived experience. I like that too. I don't want to discount any of the younger podcasters. I mean, are there younger Are there?
Yeah, absolutely.
They bring their own unique perspective. I'm sure they're drawn to the movies that have the young, single, whereas we want the movies that have the second chance at love.
Look, it's why I'm drawn to the podcast Nobody's Listening Right more than I'm drawn to the Giggly Squad podcast, because I can relate to what they're going through. They've been married for a number of years. They're raising children. They're not single in New York, navigating life. I know Hannah's married. My point is they live a very different life than we do. You're drawn to the people whose experiences mirror your own. And so, yes, I do think there's value in that. No, we were not trying to silently be ageist over here.
No, but that's the beauty of it. It all can exist. There's room for everyone.
Yes.
So. Christine writes in, and the subject is regarding Patreon. If you are listening to this Hallmark movie review podcast and you're like, what the heck is Patreon? Patreon is a paid subscription platform where Megan and I have what do we have?
It's a membership platform. We produce 4 podcast episodes there every month. They are, as you'll hear from this email, not Hallmark related. They are more lifestyle. And we get into it all.
We'd love to have you over there. It's $5 a month, and it just helps keep the show running on the tracks.
The kitchen lights on.
That is right. So Christine writes, I absolutely love your Hallmark reviews, but I have to say you changed my life yesterday with that skincare discussion on Patreon. Why am I just learning at 56 that I'm supposed to let each layer dry down before applying the next one? Mind-blowing information. Thanks for bringing all the news I need to know. If I could pause here for a second. When I read this, I was like, was she being sarcastic?
No.
I mean, it wasn't like we were like, oh, hey, you should let your stuff dry before you layer your next thing on. I don't know. I think she is being true.
I think she's being genuine. No, we were not lecturing everybody on how to do their skincare. We were talking about Wendy has an extensive skincare routine these days. And we were just talking about it's exhausting. It's exhausting sometimes. So dropping truth bombs over there on Patreon.
Well, you got to try to keep that face looking good when you're 50 like myself. So I'm doing all the things to help reverse time.
The more you know.
Yep.
This email is from Sarah about Champagne Problems, who says, so glad you reviewed Champagne Problems. I watched it specifically so I could listen to your review. Your review was spot on. I also loved Roberto. Many laugh out loud moments from him. One part I loved that I don't think you mentioned was the small moment of holiday magic, mostly from Marcel the concierge. Him sending her to the bookstore to, quote, find exactly what she needs was so magical. That helped it lean a bit more holiday for me. I also love the magic of the dog being lost and her finding both him and Henri's lost book. Sarah, I'm so glad you mentioned that because I actually did note in my notes and not in the episode that moment of Marcel kind of being her little fairy godmother. I wondered if we were going to get a little bit more of that, of him like orchestrating some of that magic, but I enjoyed that as well. She goes on to say, if I could recommend another Netflix review, it would be Jingle Bell Heist. I was surprised how much I liked it. There are some really fun heist playing and execution moments like in the second mystery from Mistletoe Murders. The hidden storyline is also real fun. We're wrapped on holiday movies for the year, but that doesn't mean we won't revisit some of these titles in the future.
Our next email is from Paula regarding Ripple. If you guys didn't know, we are reviewing Ripple, which is a Netflix series formerly supposed to be Hallmark. It's incredible, by the way. You should be watching it. Paula writes, I loved your review and I agree totally with you, except one thing. I would compare this show to The Chicken Sisters. Like that show, it exists on the edge of the Hallmark universe. They both challenge our expectations while telling stories that have a lot of Hallmark themes. I love them both. The difference is Ripple would have gotten more criticism. How many typical viewers would have stayed past Walter discovering his wife? As you can imagine, Frankie Faison's Walter strikes so close to home. Everything he does is perfect, and as I write this, I'm crying. It took 4 years to move off my side of the bed. So there is this and so much more. Thank you for expanding your reach. Hopefully, Hallmark will start airing content like this. There is room for it.
I think Paula is absolutely right that Ripple would have gotten so much more criticism than the Chicken Sisters does. It's just like, it's for the same reasons that 12 Dates. Yes, I think Walter's wife would have sent people into a tailspin because people turn to Hallmark for feel-good, happy endings. But there's so many more layers in that show that people would have just been turned off by.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. It's what makes it so rich and so good.
Yes, you're right. You are absolutely right.
Lisa emailed with a movie suggestion. I discovered your podcast recently when I found your conversation with Sarah Drew and Peter Mooney. You recently started to review Ripple. If you're open to other non-Hallmark shows, I recommend The Christmas Checklist on Up TV. It stars Sarah Power from The Good Witch, and she's Peter Mooney's wife. Why didn't I realize that?
Wait, like in real life?
I think so.
Oh, interesting.
Per the series description, grieving Emily, who has recently lost her mother, feels obligated to complete her mother's list of 12 activities before Christmas. Along the way, she meets freelance writer Noah, who offers to help. It definitely has a Hallmark vibe in my...
Wait, I watched a movie similar to this on Netflix.
Oh.
It was not Christmas related, though, but it was like a woman whose mother had passed and left like a checklist of activities to do.
Fun.
Yeah.
Why do I think I've watched that too? It's called The Life List. Is that the one?
Yep. That's it on Netflix. Yep.
Maybe I didn't watch it, but I've seen the previews. Yes, Sarah Powers and Peter Mooney are married in real life.
Wow.
And fun fact, Sarah Drew is married to a Peter and Peter is married to a Sarah.
That's bizarre.
Isn't that?
Yeah.
Anyway, keep up the great work. Fingers crossed for an official announcement regarding Mistletoe Murders Season 3.
What's your take? Do you think we'll get a season 3?
I certainly hope so. But
I think we will.
And we just talked about Middlebridge Mysteries. I kind of would like to see that spinoff as well.
Me too. Me too. Our next email is from Francisco. Now, if Francisco sounds like a familiar name, Francisco wrote in a lot regarding The Way Home earlier in the year. I love getting another email from him. Here are some of his thoughts on this year's countdown to Christmas movies. He writes, I kept meaning to write this, but another good movie will come out and I want to wait so I don't know when this will be read. I've enjoyed the movies this year overall. While there have been weaker ones, not all can be sugar plumbed like last year. there have been a lot I've enjoyed and will come back to. Merry Christmas, Ted Cooper was a good start to the season. While I won't go down all the ones I've seen, here are some highlights. I won't go into detail. I'm going to share Francisco's takes of his favorites, and then I'm going to ask you, Megan, what does your list compare? How about that?
Okay.
Okay, so Francisco, as mentioned, Merry Christmas, Ted Cooper, A Grand Old Opry Christmas. We met in December. She's Making a List, Christmas at the Catnip Cafe, Single on the 25th. Do those movies resonate to you as being like the best of the season?
No.
Ooh, hot take. Do you want to give me your top three? Now that we've seen every
my
single one of
top
them.
3. Merry Christmas, Ted Cooper. A Grand Ole Opry Christmas. Oh, no. I don't know if I can do 3. Let me think. Single on the 25th. I'm doing top 5. A Sweet Holiday Romance. And, what about A Newport Christmas? And The
A
Keller
Newport
Christmas
Christmas.
Vacation.
Yes.
And Christmas Above the Clouds.
Yeah.
I also really liked The Christmas Baby.
Yeah, there were some good ones.
The More the Merrier I really liked. An Alpine Holiday, different, liked it. Yeah. There have been very few movies that I didn't enjoy this year. There were a lot of like perfectly fine, watchable, fun movies, and then the ones that I listed are my real standouts.
Do you think 27 movies is the sweet spot for Hallmark in a Christmas lineup?
This is plenty. The reason is I hope we continue to see the presence of the series like Mistletoe Murders and 12 Dates. And so for me, when you add those in, it's plenty. It's good.
Yeah, I think they did a good job this season. I'm sure it was probably hard for them to pivot from like, we have 40 plus movies, but I do think the quality of these movies, it's noticeable.
They had 24 movies plus 4 full series. So
Yeah.
I think the numbers still math out in terms of the number of hours of programming they're putting out.
Francisco goes on to write, I'm disappointed we got no Rachel Lee Cook or Amy Groening this year. Amy showed that she has leading lady energy last year in 'Twas the Day Before Christmas. I watched it again this year and think she's so underused as the sister of a best friend. I agree. There were a lot of missing this year.
Yes, that is the bummer of the smaller slate.
Yeah, because then you're going to give other people opportunities, up-and-comers some opportunities. Yeah,
We met some new actors who we really liked this season as well.
exactly.
All right, we have a voicemail from Shelby. She called us about Single on the 25th.
Hi, Megan and Wendy. This is Shelby. I live in Richmond, Virginia. I first want to say I love the podcast. I love what y'all bring to the Hallmark space. Second, I was listening to your episode on Single on the 25th, and so I'd like to preface this with I'm a 32-year-old woman who is from the South. I was born and raised in Alabama, live in Virginia now, in a like deeply conservative religious family. I was listening to y'all talk about Single on the 25th, and y'all were, mentioning that y'all had been married for a while and with kids and whatnot. My best friend and I, we were both single in our 30s. She's never been in a relationship. I haven't been in a relationship in like 8 years. So longtime single folks. And we were talking about this movie because this is very much so our lifestyles. And she is more of the main character's kind of philosophy, and I was more on Daniel Wissing's characters side because I am a person who I have been single for a while. Yes, I do try dating and those kinds of things, but it's not something I'm like always pursuing. And I don't believe in waiting for my life to happen until enter XYZ thing, because I don't think that living a partnered life means that your life is on hold until then. But having grown up in a very religious, very conservative state, that's from the same background, we very much so were taught, and it was kind of culturally understood, and it's still very much so is expected of like, oh, your life is on hold until you're, find a partner. And with that, I receive a lot of feedback, questions, all of these things of like, oh, I could never do that alone. Referring to going to a restaurant alone, going and doing certain things alone. I travel the world alone. Like I went to England and France earlier this year. I also went to Puerto Rico. Like I will go wherever. You're not guaranteed your next day. But also with that, I just get a lot of people who have comments and thoughts on that. And so I think it very much so is a thing that people are like, oh, I could never do that. I will say I did struggle with the character needing to like do these things alone. at Christmas, because one of the things that I do is like, because I don't live near my family, I will travel home for Christmas because I do want to spend holiday time with my family. But in general, the message of being comfortable being with yourself, I think, is very much so something that people need to hear and experience. It takes practice, takes skills, and that even if you're in a relationship, I think you should go have dinners on your own, go do an activity yourself. That's just my perspective, again, as a 32-year-old single gal who definitely culturally feels like the pressures and expectations that I should get married, and that things are a little weird for me because I don't. But I really enjoy my life and doing stuff by myself. So if you are a single gal but listening to this, don't wait until XYZ thing to do whatever.
I really appreciate this voicemail because, as mentioned, this wasn't something we could personally relate to. So it's nice to hear these takes on how people viewed the idea of being single and leaning in on being single. But I think she makes a really good point about the difference between being single and being alone.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, cool to be single, and it's cool to prioritize your own wants and needs, which I think was the bigger message. And the idea of, well, if I have to do it alone, then that's perfectly fine because I want to do this thing. But I like the idea of being with people.
I thought she had some good points about encouraging other single women not to wait for like X, Y, and Z, like to live their lives. Yeah, I think I know you really like that movie, and there were some things I liked about it as well. I just thought they like portrayed, and I don't remember her name, the main character, Lindsay Fonseca's character. I think they just portrayed her as like this sad, lonely single girl, and it doesn't have to be that desperate.
People had very polarizing takes on that movie for sure.
I'm glad Shelby wrote in or called in.
Mackie wrote in after we asked for some recommendations for some future reviews, and Mackie has her finger on the pulse of what's going on. She has some upcoming rom-coms that she suggested, including People We Meet on Vacation, starring Emily Bader and Tom Blythe. The movie The Love Hypothesis, an Allie Hazelwood book adaptation that I'm super excited about, Lily Reinhart and Tom Bateman. The movie It Happened One Summer, Nina Dobrev and Tyler Hoechlin. There are some more that I'm not familiar with. Voicemails for Isabel, You Deserve Each Other, The Token Groomsmen. Ooh, Sarah Hyland and Taylor Lautner.
Dude, you just skipped right. You Deserve Each Other with Megan Fahey and Penn Badgley.
Oh, yeah.
Hello.
Perfectly Imperfect, Malin Ackerman and Dermot Mulroney. Look, I'm excited about these.
Yeah, I'm going to keep my eye out. For
Office
these because
Romance, Jennifer Lopez and Brett Goldstein. What an interesting pairing that is.
I don't know who Brett Goldstein is.
Yeah, you do. Ted Lasso. He's Roy.
Oh, stop.
Yeah.
We're going to have to review that. I think there's space for us to review these movies. I'm excited about it. You know I'm a big Dancing with the Stars fan, right?
I do.
And it was recently announced that Whitney Levitt, who did not win, but she was a participant of The Secret Life of Mormon Wives. She is doing a Lifetime Christmas movie.
Yeah.
Megan shared it, and I was like, well, look, our holiday slate is going to be lit because I want to do that movie as well.
Of course. Of course.
Teresa writes in about the hair tuck heard around the world, at least our Hallmark world. Hi, ladies. That hair tuck took me out of the scene because I started trying to decide whether I liked it or not. I decided that I definitely didn't like it. She's referring to Finding Mr. Christmas, where our contestant Angel was acting opposite Sharon Lawrence, who played his mother in the scene. And he does a very intimate, sexy hair tuck, which didn't land for me personally.
We got a lot of messages about it. We were not the only ones who weren't quite sure about that hair tuck.
Good.
Mailman Steve from our Facebook group wrote in about Mistletoe Murders, and he says, piggybacking on what the writer, that being Ken Cooper, has mentioned, why can't Mistletoe Murders be more like a mystery movie? It can be 2 hours and have 3 to 4 installments throughout the year like Hannah Swenson. Thoughts, Wendy?
Signed, Sealed, Delivered did the same thing. It originally started out as episodic, right? And then transitioned to movies. I'm down for it.
Are you? So I'm down for Mistletoe Murders continuing in whatever way works best. The thing for me is your point about signed, sealed, delivered is well taken. I hadn't considered it because I think if we do that, that then centers the mysteries. And I'm here for the Emily of it all. But
Okay.
I think there's a way to do it. I just think the seasons have such a nice arc in terms of how we tell the story of Emily along with the mysteries. But if Ken Cooperis can make it happen, I'll watch it.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. So we get what is equal to maybe 3 movies, right?
Right.
In a season for them. Would we get 3 movies in the year? I could go either way. Like, I don't want to wait months and months and months between movies. So, gosh, I don't know. If I could get like 5 movies a year, that would be great, but that's not going to happen. So maybe keep it the format as it is. I don't know.
All right, bring us on home.
Paula again writes in, and this is regarding 12 Dates. She says, "Hi again. I totally agree with you on this series. It's definitely deserves 5 stars. I hope Hallmark fans appreciate it. Also, I too have a strong interest in over 55 romance. It's personal for me, and the stories can be very enjoyable. So I watched the episodes out of order and ended up watching the end of episode 2, and I think Calum is very much in it. So early on, we were asking, is Calum endgame here?
Yeah.
I won't spoil it. If you haven't watched the series, watch the series, and you will know if Calum is endgame. The look on his face when he sees Kate and Richard kissing is very telling. We will see. When rightfully praising Mae Whitman, you missed 2 biggies. She was in the Hallmark classic A Season for Miracles from 1999 and the teen classic The Duff. She starred as The Duff. I love that movie. I didn't miss it. I've seen it. She just has a long resume. We can't mention everything.
Exactly.
Great movie, though.
Is it?
Yeah. I mean, as a teen movie, and you know, that's my sweet spot. I love a movie with some teen high school setting.
Look, I just pulled up this movie and the movie poster is front and center. And let me just, it's like the Jessica Simpson mom jeans of it all. The fact that Mae Whitman in this poster is the designated ugly fat friend.
Yeah. What a joke.
It's going to make me burn the world down. That's all.
Yeah.
That's a wrap on the 2025 recording season for Megan and Wendy. Thank you for coming along for the ride. It's been a year. And with that, the 2025 season comes to a close. Thanks for listening. We can't wait to come back for new content in the new year. Happy holidays, y'all. Goodbye.
Bye.
All right, friends, before we go, just a quick heads up. You're about to hear some ads. These little gems help us keep the show running and the Hallmark love flowing. So do with that info what you will. Grab a snack, hit the skip button, or maybe, just maybe, listen in and discover your new favorite product. Bye.